would be my intent to work with the board in a fashion whereas I'm hoping I will be received as a 13th member of the governance team, and that we'll be transparent with each other, and we'll be able to get some things done for the district students.
At this time, I want to open it up for some individual questions from members of the panel.
I have one.
All right.
I know what the Bible said. If you want to be great, work yourself up to be great. And as you was talking, and I know you work yourself up. You've done an awesome job here. But I know that you're familiar with the low performance schools.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like for you to elaborate on that, and how would you go about getting quality education people, and you know what I'm talking about, staff, for all schools, strong principals, teachers, just strong for all schools. And my reason why I'm saying this, I crossed over, and I heard you say something, in 67, and you know about 67.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, 67 with Loreto, whatever his name. And I want to let you know, when you said that it's hard to be tough, I know you believe in accountability. At some of our schools, and I'm telling you what I have observed, at some of our schools, discipline problems where they're turning over tables and teachers are afraid to go into their classrooms because of this. You know it's a problem at the school. Instead of you saying, you say it's hard to be tough, but instead of you saying, go home, would you bring that principal? I know it should be a paper trail if you're doing your job. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you bring that principal to Caddo Parish School Board system? Work here, what I'm talking about. Please explain that to me, because I know some of that's been done.
You know, when we started to give letter grades to schools, call them A, B, C, D, and F schools, I knew working HR that staffing the lower performing schools was going to be a challenge. Now, when I came to work in the district, HR had direct placement authority. I came to work in the district, and I was assigned to go to Southwood High School. I met the principal for the first time when I was reported when I was directed at least to report to Southwood. But that was in the day. Accountability was not what it is today. And some things have transpired. And we in HR, those of us who work the HR, we don't have direct placement authority anymore. Teachers new applicants, teachers get the opportunity to interview when vacancies are posted, and then they are recommended for placement to HR by a principal. We don't get to place them. So what happens? Well, you have schools that are higher performing, getting all of your teacher quality. And then you get all your experienced teachers. And then you get teachers who make the same monies as these folk over here, who because there's no place else to go in a lot of cases, get the lower performing schools. I guess maybe there are another number of things that we need to do. We find that people are not seriously motivated by money. They are motivated, however, by purpose. And here again, I think I mentioned the way we market schools. You gotta stop calling them failing, because nobody wants to go that route. We have to figure out a way to communicate what the needs are in these schools, or we have to make persons who are applying to come understand that you valued, You can make a difference here. And I'm going to create, as a principal, a situation that's going to be supportive. I'm going to give you what you need, when you need it. I'm going to make sure that students are behaving. I'm going to create a situation where you can teach. But here again, it goes back to the training piece. We have so consistently put people in places without having the time or the energies or the monies or what have you to train them, that principals, in some cases, are not able to create that situation where I can actually teach. And they have so much to do now. Principals have so much to do. A couple of years ago, we said to assistant principals, we want you to be not an AP of instruction or an AP of discipline, but we want you to be generalist. So, an AP of instruction does everything. An AP of administration does everything. Well, and I have to go back to when I did it. I was an AP of instruction. I did instruction. That's what I did. I was the instructional guru on the campus. I had a principal, but the principal was more so the generalist. We had a person in charge of administration. They took care of the administration. It kind of looks like we're going to have to go back to that so that the principal can envision and can monitor the campuses, do what he or she needs to do in that area. The disciplinarian can do that, and the instructional person can be that person who focuses on the academic piece. So there's no, I wish I had a pat answer for it, but if I did, then there would be no issues in that area in the state or in this nation, because everybody would be sharing that and doing exactly what the panacea is to fix it. We just have to try all of these things and hope that we stir up on something that will actually make a difference with students. And we do that every day. We do that every day. But thank you for your question.
I'll come on around. Come on.
For me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You, as I understand it, have been in administration, in the administrative office, under how many superintendents?
I've been an assistant superintendent under four superintendents.
And following up on Ms. Bess's question, with reference to the low-performing schools, I prefer that word as opposed to failing.
Mm-hmm.
What programs, ideas, what have you personally put forth to improve these low-performing schools? Whether your suggestions or ideas were accepted or not, could you explain some of those to us?
Well, let me explain what my job has been with the superintendents that I served.
Okay.
I've been assistant superintendent in charge of human resources, which means that my responsibility at the table has been to make sure that we have highly qualified, certified staff in the positions to service students and to service them, okay? I've not been the academic person, okay? I've served in support services. That means transportation. That means cafeteria. It means utility. It means that kind of thing. So that's been my responsibility at the table. And as an assistant superintendent, what a good assistant superintendent does is carry his or her weight to make sure that the vision of the administrator, the superintendent, becomes reality. So I may not have had the opportunity to do that, but I did what it was that I was supposed to do to the best of my ability.
All right.
Dr. Nash, you and I started at the same time.
We were young, and now we are.
You just
I'm old. I'm sorry.
you're younger. You just preserved yourself a lot better than I did, and you've been more successful. But I want to ask you two questions.
Yes, sir.
First one, you've worked with different school boards and different superintendents a long time.
Yes, sir.
You've seen that relationships have not always been the best.
Yes, sir.
In my particular case, I tell people I've only been fired 3 times in 33 years, once by Caddo and twice by DeSoto. But because of the diversity
Yes, sir.
of school board member personalities
Yes, sir.
and the politics involved, the superintendent's always on the hot seat. You've done a good job, and there's a little more security in being
In the
assistant
secrecy.
superintendent than being
Yes, sir.
superintendent. My first question is, why do you want to be superintendent?
Well, superintendent, and this may sound a little. I've been thinking about that.
I know you
I've been seriously thinking about that. And as I reflect on my own career, it seems like, and as I try to connect the dots, it seems like everything that I've done, everything that has been that has happened at least to me, for me, or with me as a Caddo employee was in preparation for this. Now, I swear I didn't understand that. I didn't even see that because I did some serious grumbling about some things that I've done, I was assigned to do. But I honestly feel like I'm called to do this. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I'm called to do this, commissioned to do this by a higher order. And I don't have any choice but to be here. I have to be obedient to the calling. And I honestly feel that if I am obedient to the calling, that He will anoint it and that things will be well. To give me what I need to get it done. He didn't bring me this, well, you know, it ain't Sunday. He didn't bring me this for, you know, to leave me. Okay.
My second question,
Yes, sir.
Caddo has, I think it's 22 F schools. Some of the longest low performance schools
Yes, sir.
that the state has not taken. Some of the lowest in the state that they have not taken. It appears that changes are on the way. And my question is, how do you see, let me make this comment, then the question. Up to this point, there doesn't seem to be real interest in the school board working with the state to address those low performance schools. And how do you see, as superintendent, that you would address that? How do you see it happening? Because the state could just take the schools and there'd be no relationship.
The state.
What do you see happening? What would you, as superintendent, like to see happen with that?
You know, I know you've read in the paper that RSD has posted a vacancy, that I think they call it executive director. So if anybody thinks it's not coming, it is here. You also know that we have one charter in our area, type 1 charter, and I serve as the liaison for that charter evaluation and workings, what have you. That's the Magnolia program. And you know, that's a type 1 charter. And I don't know how much you know about charters, but you know, type 1 is a new school, whereas the local board will hold the charter. I think a lot of things will happen, and we just have to spend some time with our board recognizing the reality of this. It's like when AT&T, the monopoly of AT&T was split. You know, remember that? You know, everybody thought, oh, phone service split. Now, AT&T was it. Currently, I use some AT&T and I use some Verizon. It's just another type choice. we have to make sure that what it is that we do in our schools will provide the best choice for folks. We got a little competition. When you get competition, you up your game. As far as the charters and parochials and the private schools, we have to up our game. We have to up our game. We have to be educated about the charter movement. I mean, you got to be educated about it because it's not going anywhere. You know, you need to know the types of charters, and you need to know which ones it is that school districts can have some input. You know, if you get a 1 or a 3, then the district has some input. You get a 2 or a 4 or a 5, you know, you don't get any input. So we just got to educate ourselves, and we've got to make certain that what we offer in our programs is the best choice for the families that we serve. Not an easy thing, because our board is they're not anti-charter, but they're about as close as anti-charter as you can get and not be there. Probably because we've not given it a chance. We've had the state superintendent we've had you. We've had the state superintendent to come and talk to us about reform movements and how we might move forward in this area. And the truth of the matter is, we were not kind. You know, so we've got to sit down and talk about some protocols and be more open-minded to the things that will be new and different for us.
Yes, Ms. Rogers. You said earlier about, you made a statement that it was difficult to have schools without funding.
Yes.
And I think you said a few minutes ago something about money not being the motivating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What approaches then would you use to attract additional funding for our schools, or have you used?
Well, you know, a grant writer is worth his or her weight in gold. And there are lots of monies out there. But here again, you have to be open-minded to do things differently, especially with the coming of the charter movement and what have you. There's all kinds of money out there, but I just said, we're not open-minded. There's so much so to charters and that kind of thing that we even pursue the monies. There's monies out there, but we have to educate self and really look at, remember I said when you can spend somebody else's money, you know, be sure you can live with the red tape, or the small print, and then spend theirs. There's some opportunities out there. There really are. We just got to decide we want to pursue them.
Would you say money do motivate?
Some folks, yes. Some folks it does. But teachers in general, generally teachers, all they want is to be happy at work, to be safe at work, to feel like they make a difference. They don't really, you know, when we give teachers, when we gave at least teachers a stipend for working in a low performing school, and when we took the stipend away, the performance didn't make any real difference. They just want to be comfortable. They want to be happy. They want to be supported. They want to be recognized for things that are done well, and that's really what they want.
Scott?
Dr. Robinson, appreciate your willingness
Hey,
to step up to this chair if it's the task. One question for you, and I'm not going to ask anything we hadn't talked about over the years.
Okay.
The burning question I have: you're a career Caddo employee.
Yes, I am.
You are, in a sense, the matriarch of HR and placement of all the people where they are for the last 20 years. And so I realize you haven't been the person that picks everybody. Your
Right.
department, I know the process. Your department vets and makes sort of recommendations, and then the chair you're applying for picks that person.
That's correct.
And so, but in a sense, you've put people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the district moves into what Mr. Lee was talking about a little bit, and the data says clearly the next superintendent's going to probably close some schools.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to undoubtedly move personnel around.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance being the person who put everybody where they are? You're either the consummate insider or you're the exact person who's in a position to make the changes that need to be made because you know all the personnel. So tell me how you're going to balance that role if you're superintendent when these changes start happening. You got to start moving around people that you put where they are.
Well, you know, tough tough decisions like that are better received when they come from somebody who is grounded in this, who cares. And there's been a track record of the fact that there's buy-in here, or that I care. I think it would be better received, or it's best received from somebody that they know. I think that's easier for me to communicate, because I am of the district, and I have been of the district, and will make decisions, always have made decisions, always in the best interest of the district. And I'll just continue to do that.
Someone else?
I have one more question.
All right.
I would like to ask you, what did you do to enhance the academic performance skills at the school when you combine the arts with that program? I heard you elaborated on Green Oaks, and that's what I want you to talk about in comparing it with Caddo Magnet High. I'm very familiar with their programs there.
Well, our program was instrumental music, vocal music, drama. And what we did was we incorporated all of those things, we incorporated all of those things into every content area that was taught at that school. Mm-hmm. Every content area, even the PE teacher had an element of performing arts to teach. Mm-hmm. And we geared that towards, like I said, a major production at the ending of the first semester, and then a major production at the end of the second semester. It was all encompassing. What we did, and I didn't honestly do it, teachers did it. Okay. Departmental heads and teacher groups did it. This department, what are the GLEs that we're responsible for in testing? And then we had some after school programs. We had Mike, I don't even remember his last name, who came in and took care of testing strategies for us, because I had children who could test, but they didn't have the confidence. So it was not about the content of the content per se. It was the mentality associated with testing. I spent a lot of time in that situation just convincing people that they could do. I went to a faculty meeting a number of times, and I would talk to the faculty, and they wouldn't even talk to me because they were not comfortable with giving input. Oh, but when they started to talk, then they told us exactly, when you ask people who are in direct contact with youngsters, what do we need to do to turn this around? They'll tell you, but you have to establish a forum where they are comfortable and they are supported, and they, like tell courage, try courage, and trust courage. You have to establish that before you can make any headway. So it can be done. It can be done, but you got to have commitment.
Were you there when Burton, I think that was his name, gave all of those guitars?
We had a guitar program, and yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We were.
Okay.
And to see our children play guitar is kind of different, but they did.
Thank you.
Someone else? Yes, again.
Yeah, and I apologize.
Hey, Mrs. Jackson. Hey,
Hello.
Mrs. Jackson.
Good to see you. I apologize if this question has been asked. I walked in and you were already up. I've seen you sitting over there. I know you have a good relationship with the board. I've seen you.
You do?
I know you do. I know. I've seen you out in the community.
Yes, sir.
We've been to you talking about you other places.
Yes, sir.
But I didn't, and I just don't know if it's already been talked about. Do you have a relationship with people at the state level as well?
Well, let me tell you, I served as government and community relations officer for the district for a while. And so my job was to go to the State Department, hear, listen, contribute, come back, what have you. The State Department that was the State Department when I did that does not look like the State Department now. You go down there now, the building's literally empty. Because they downsized and what have I honestly don't know a lot of the people down there. I know the people that make up my network team, Carrie Lester and Ellen and you know, I got David Shepard for charter. I know the people that I work with directly, and I know the superintendent. So I do have some relationship with them, but it's not like the relationship I had when the State Department was what it was.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Robinson, you kind of started this answer, but I'd like you to go a little bit deeper. You said that the new superintendent needed to be able to open schools without a lot of distractions.
Yes, sir.
What is your plan beyond that? 60 days, 90 days, 100 days?
I do have a
in
100-day plan.
January?
I do have a 100-day plan. I maybe brought one copy of it with me. I just kind of show it to you. It's 30 days of discussion. It's 30 days of planning, and it's 30 days of leading. And I'll share that with you. But let me see if I can go to the goals page. The focus areas would be the governance team, organizational capacity, and alignment. You know, I spoke to the fact that we're reorganizing some things and it's not quite done yet, and we need to be sure that we can say to people at the school level where your help will come from. And right now we can't do that. Student achievement is next, community and public relations and operations and finance. These are the focus areas. 30 days discussion. Next 30 days planning. Next 30 days leading. And I put this together to share with the board. And it's when I get an opportunity to do that with them later today, I'll be happy to share that with you.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
All right,
Yes, ma'am.
Valerie.
In the midst of budgetary woes, can you envision closing low enrollment schools or low performing schools? And if so, would you be willing to disclose which schools?
I can see that happening. And no, I would not be ready to divulge which schools, and let me tell you why. We proposed a plan and we put names on schools. And we came out of the conference room and we brought that to our publics, and our public said, oh no, no. And it didn't happen. It still needs to happen. What I propose, or what I would like to do, is those communities that would be directly impacted, where we see low enrollments, we call them to the table. And we don't spend a lot of time with you telling us about what you don't want to happen. The conversation has to be, what can you live with? So it has to be bottom up discussion and decisions made about which schools we will have to target. Okay.
Any other questions?
One last one, again, if I can. Mayor, we've also talked about this topic over the years. The whole school system runs on two sets of relationships. The relationship of those 12 people to the superintendent, and the relationship of the superintendent to the principals. What can you do as superintendent to improve the job of principal? How can we get back to where being a principal means something, and it's the goal of someone in this system is to be a principal and to have that job for a number of years? That's what I see now is we talk about continuity, the Caddo family. How do we make principal the job you want to have, and how do we support that?
Well, as superintendent, I'm going to have to be able to empower principals to do what it is that needs to be done. I have to develop. They have to know that they have to be able to try some things, mess up some things, and know that that's not punitive. We have to develop an atmosphere of trust. There's a lot of anxiety out there about these jobs, you know.
And they're
Now-
tough jobs. That's
Yeah,
why
they're
everybody
tough
wants to run the
jobs.
central
They're
office.
tough jobs, and now you want to attach my performance to my pay. So, you know, I'm concerned more so about survival than I am teaching and learning. But we've got to get them comfortable with the fact that you go on and go on and do it. And we have principals that can do. I can name you a few.
I could too.
I can name you a few. They're not afraid of anything. And they do extremely well. And they mentor other administrators for us who come and can do the same things. I need to duplicate what happens at that school with that principal with the newer folks who are overcome by the toughness of these jobs and the anxiety.
And last, you mentioned courage. Would you be willing to look at maybe, and I know it's blasphemy in some circles, but I believe pay matters once you get beyond a certain point. I don't believe it matters around the margins. I don't believe people move for $500. But I believe doubling principal salary, I believe investing in the principal job to get more, and I'll call them Albert Hardisons of the world, Sandra McCulloughs of the world, to get the people that devote their life to a school. I think that's what turns and keeps the continuity going. Would you have the courage to look at that type of an idea?
I have the courage to do it. Let me tell you, because Hardison won't mind me telling you.
He lets us talk about it. He's fine with it.
Hardison won't mind me telling you this. I went over to Hardison School because, in fact, I asked him to do the very same. I'm not going to tell you what he told me, but he ran me off the campus because he is perfectly groomed, perfectly for what he does. That is the perfect job for him. That's what he wants to do.
I'd
And
pay him
God,
whatever it takes to keep him there.
He is good at it.
Yes, he is.
But he did say to me, he says, I want to keep doing what it is that I'm doing. And then he had a litany of people, administrators that have come through his program. He says, that's how I help you. That's how I help you. So,
I want to make just one last comment.
Yes, sir.
Since you brought up Hardison, or you did. He is an ultimate principal.
yes, sir.
One of his greatest strengths was selecting teachers
Yes.
that would be successful.
Yes, sir.
And in DeSoto, we hired more people
And he hated you for that. You know that?
from Walnut Hill.
He hated you for that.
That was our place to get the best teachers.
Right, right. And when we get through with this, I'll tell you what all he said about you.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, for your time.